Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news. Joining BJ Rains today is KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's Mike Prater. Listen to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater in the Ballgame. Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 95.3 FM The Ticket and online at KTIK.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now, here's Mike Prater and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing? Happy Thursday, Boise State fans. Welcome on into Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. It's Thursday, and that means we are graced by the presence of Mike Prater in the he's in the RowPaint.com studios there at KTIK. Mike, you got the new polo on. I believe that's not a Johnny Mallory sticker. I think that is an actual stitched-on polo there. I love to see it. And I went in honor of the Chiefs opening tonight. Went with the Chiefs Patrick Mahomes jersey here. So
that's looking pretty good. That's looking really good. You're in the spirit, and you can no longer give me crap about jumping on the Vegas Golden Knights bandwagon when you're jumping on the Chiefs bandwagon.
I did go to KU. I mean, it's right by Kansas City. I had a lot of friends in Kansas City. I mean, we went to college 30 minutes from there. I mean, I get it. We were friends with, there's some extended family of Alex Smith that lives in the Boise area.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife, we got to know them pretty well. So back when they still had Alex Smith, that was actually the start of it. So I can kind of claim a little bit before the Mahomes era. But once the Rams left St. Louis, it took me 3 or 4 years where I just hated the NFL and wouldn't watch a single game and was sick to my stomach. And then realized that my Sundays were too empty and had to at least find some team. And it's not the same. It's when it's not your team that you grew up rooting for. Everybody knows that. I mean, or maybe they don't if their team never moved, but it's not the same. So I can wear this jersey and be a Chiefs fan, but it wasn't the same as being able to have a team that you grew up since you were a kid and trying to, that was one of the biggest things. I remember when they announced the Rams were leaving. I was literally put my kid in a Rams onesie and was like crying with them in my bed because I remember just thinking like all the memories that I had watching football growing up and things like my kid wasn't really going to get that from the sense of like the same team or whatever, we're watching our team together or whatever, so that's what I think made the Blues Stanley Cup a little more emotional and cool for me just because we actually had a team. And if the Cardinals get back to that at some point, now that my kids are a little older, maybe it'll feel a little bit different, but
sure.
Just not the same. Yeah. So I'm wearing it because I have it and because it actually fits me. But this is from one of the first Super Bowls. I think I got this from Johnny's favorite site in China. So I only paid about $20 for it. It fits and it's great. And I don't wear it very often. So I figured, in honor of the first game tonight, why not? So happy for the NFL season tonight. Yes. We got a big KU football game tomorrow. Hard to believe I'm saying that, but KU football on prime time on Friday night, Mike Prater. I think the only game in the country tomorrow night, Kansas versus Illinois on ESPN. I think it's a big trying to get to 2-0 and build off our bowl appearance last year. So I got Chiefs tonight, KU tomorrow, and then we got the big one obviously on Saturday, 5:00 here in Boise, Idaho, Boise State and UCF. Looking forward to it, Mike. We got a lot to discuss here on Bronco Nation News Live. I know you guys have had a lot of coverage all week, a lot of debates, a lot of talk about a lot of things and where this program is going and why can't they sell any tickets and just a lot of different angles to take with this game. But I guess generally, as we're 2 days away from Saturday's game, before we break it down, what are your general thoughts on Saturday's game?
It's a little bit different feeling around here for the opener, and it's almost, I hate to use this word, but it's almost a little bit of a desperate feeling. And I say that lightly because I don't think Boise State football is in a desperate situation. I don't think Andy Avalos and his program's in a desperate situation, but I think that there's a desperate feeling, maybe just that awkward pause about what's going to happen next. And we all know what's happened in the last couple of years. We all know what's coming out of the COVID, and it seems like Boise's been chasing its shadow for a couple of years now, and they desperately need something good to happen. And if it goes south on Saturday, then I think that there's going to be a lot of issues with this program and a lot of unhappy fans jumping off the bandwagon type fans. A couple of my friends have already told me they can't wait for basketball season. They actually say it like that. Can't wait for basketball season because of what Leon Rice has. Football's kind of in the way of their basketball season. But those kind of fans can be converted emotionally with a big win on Saturday. I've heard you talk on certain BNN shows throughout the week, and I think you and I are on the same page. I think Boise State's going to rebound. I think they're going to respond. I think they're going to play very, very well against a little bit of an overhyped Central Florida team. And yes, Central Florida, not UCF, Central Florida team. And I think that desperate feeling goes away on Saturday. But if it goes south, BJ, we're going to have a lot of things to talk about next week.
Hey, be careful because those UCF fans will come for you, because I was on a appearance with them earlier, and I thought I was very nice and kind, and somehow some guy didn't like what I said. And as Rudy points out here, this is what the guy responded to a tweet. Somebody said, he said, "I'm going to put total disrespectful, whiny, mopey D-bag on my tombstone in honor of you, PJ." So I know you've been called a lot of things, Mike Prater, but a total disrespectful, whiny, mopey D-bag. So there you go. I can add that to my list this morning, Mike. Someone actually responded. I did a 20-minute interview with the UCF Rivals site down there. I'm actually doing another one tonight. They call it the Sons of UCF. It's like they're not quite what I do. Theirs is more of a fan perspective, but it's a pretty popular podcast down there. And I'm going on tonight, so I may have to watch what I say. But I brought up the fact that, and I think that I don't think this is disrespectful towards UCF, but I think some Boise State fans are jealous that where UCF's at. I mean, Boise State fans look at the last 20, 25 years, and I think Boise State fans would argue that if you're just going off football success on the field, Boise State has done more for a longer period of time. And when they didn't get the Power 5 invite and UCF did, I think there were some fans that were jealous. So is this a payback game? I don't know about that, but I think Boise State fans understand it. It's market size. There's a lot of different things involved, but they don't have to necessarily like it or agree with it, or can still feel jealous about it. And it is kind of a small side story to this game. And I think if we were to go back, Mike Prater, to when the game was at UCF 2 years ago, it was literally like the day of the game or the day before the game when it was first rumored or announced that UCF was going to the Big 12. So the timing of all this has been kind of weird, but I just said that, I think a lot of fans wish in Boise feel like they should be in this position, not UCF, given the on-field football success. If you're just going off that, I mentioned the national championship that UCF, I use the word claim. Some guy said it, showed me the record book that I guess since they finished number one in one of the computers, that now the NCAA does technically officially recognize that as a national championship. So I do sincerely apologize for using the word claim.
No, don't apologize. Come on, man.
Yeah, but I woke up, checked my phone, and before I even got out of bed, was called a disrespectful, whiny, mopey D-bag. So there we go. What a day.
I'm not trying to.
And it wasn't from my wife. So there you go.
She's got different things that she calls you when she wakes up in the morning. But I don't like Central Florida. I don't like anything about them. I don't like their fans. I don't like their administration. I don't like their football team. I kind of like Gus Malzahn, and I'm not sure why. I just think he's a good old innocent boy, Southern boy football kid, and I kind of like where he's come away. Wasn't he in high school with Drinkwitz like 10 years ago or something like that? So yeah, I just kind of like Gus Malzahn for some weird reason, but I don't like anything else about Central Florida. I can't stand them. The only thing that they have better than Boise State when it comes to football is dirt, geography. And it's kind of like the Ryan Day thing at Ohio State. Was he born on third base? Well, yeah. Central Florida got lucky with geography, and they're taking advantage of it. I'll give them credit for that. They've built an unbelievable campus, an unbelievable student population, and they've benefited and invested and become passionate in sports. And we all want that. And if there's one thing that's missing, UCF, Central Florida can have all the national championships at once, all the wins at once, all the status, all the Big 12 that it wants. I think the only thing that Boise State fans should be jealous of, and you couldn't be jealous of this, but is the passion. They have the passion, and I just don't see that here at Boise. And I know we're going to talk about the crowd, and there's the hardcores, and there will always be the hardcores, but the passion that doesn't exist here in Boise certainly exists in Florida. The geography certainly exists. After that, Boise State just wipes them clean when it comes to the resume of football, and I think they're going to do it again on Saturday.
I just found out how to get the folks off of my back. I'm going to cut that clip up and put that all over social media as soon as this show ends. It's Colorado State all over again, baby. No,
From one dopey D-bag to another.
Mike Prater just saved my Thursday. Yeah, this is great. I appreciate it, Mike, and I'll make sure I'll make sure I tag you for the mentions there later this afternoon when I post that.
Bring it on, Central Florida. And they like to be the UFC Knights. I like to refer to them as the Central Florida Golden Knights. So I'm really going to butcher and botch their name. The Central Florida Golden Knights. Bring it on, brothers.
I love the matchup. I think it's I know when it was scheduled, it was the 2 group of 5 teams. And if you remember right, Kurt Absey did actually schedule this game. One of the things that actually made some sense that Kurt Absey did. And this was one of those rare things too, which obviously became more prominent during COVID. But a lot of these football series are, used to be scheduled 10 years out. And when they announced this, like in 2019, it was like, oh, it's next season or whatever. It's in 2 years. Like usually that never happens. And so it was the 2 group of 5 powers, 2 teams trying to prove they deserve to be there. And it was the matchup for, frankly, the last several years that fans wanted and college football wanted. And they got it done in a short amount of time. And then all of a sudden it changed when UCF got to the Big 12 before the first game even happened. But I still think and even UCF fans are saying they kind of see this as a measuring stick game for them as well, going into what figures to be a tough Big 12 schedule. You got Boise State fans who, as I said, right or wrong, I think a win in this game could prove a little bit that, hey, we deserve to, we can play on that level. We're up there with the big boys. Just because you got the Big 12 invite doesn't mean you're any better than us. So I think there's a lot of external factors involved in this game, and then you throw in the fact that Boise State hasn't been 0-2 in almost 20 years. I do kind of chuckle back, Mike, because I remember the post game show after the spring game. You and Johnny both came by. We were at the James. We went on, and John Mallory made the point that Boise State could realistically be 1-4 when you talk about this schedule, and we've all talked about it. Like 0-2, I think a lot of people like. Frankly, if there were betting odds, I think 0-2 wouldn't have been like that big of a huge, bet. I mean, I think that a lot of reasonable Boise State fans saw the beginning of this schedule being very, very tough, and they still think, Boise State is a solid team that could have a solid season, but the first 2 games are as hard of a first 2 games as they've had in a long, long time. And it's just funny the way the Washington game went, Mike. I mean, if they had lost by 1 point on a last-second field goal, I think the feeling would be a lot different. It's the fact that they lost by 37, the most they've lost by in 20-plus years. The fact they gave up 56, the most in regulation since the 90s. It's just the way it happened, I guess. But if you're 0-2 by 1-point losses or 0-2 by 30-point blowouts, I mean, the result is the same. Regardless of what happens on Saturday, I still think this team is going to win a lot of games. I'm not super impressed with the Mountain West. I think that, San Diego State doesn't impress me. I think that's going to be a game they can go down and win. There's only a couple swing games left for me, to be honest. At Memphis and at Fresno are the only 2 games that I know a lot of people are on the San Jose train, but that's at home. I guess my point is, even if they're 0-2, I could easily see us looking up and them being 9-3 at the end of the season. It's just how you get there, I guess, that matters. But 0-2 is not something people around here are used to, Mike. As I said, 2005. I don't know. Do you if that dread scenario happens? I guess. I mean, what do you imagine your post game show on KBOI and our post game show on BNN and then the next couple of days being like if they're 0-2?
Yeah, I think you know the answer to that. It'll get ugly, and the passion will start to just completely disappear, and it'll be really, really unfortunate here. I mean, I always thought, as we all did, and even the fans, I think we debated in the offseason a 3-2 or a 2-3 start, somewhere in that neighborhood. Seemed like it made a lot of sense, and then at that point, Boise State could run the table in the Mountain West like they did last year. All of a sudden, that Fresno State game on the road in the middle of the season looks a little pesky. That's far from an automatic win for Boise State. So, we're kind of where we're supposed to be in terms of watching this football team and what they're trying to accomplish. So the score last week and the optics weren't good. A loss this Saturday would be bad. And more importantly for this fan base, the details, the optics. Can Taylon Green be an effective player and run and pass the way that Boise State fans want him? Can they make some plays on the back end of this defense? Can they be aggressive? Can they play with passion? Can they play with some physical intensity? Some of the intangible things that you can control that I saw missing from the Washington game. If you can bring some of that stuff back and show me a little bit of heart, a little bit of fight, a little bit of battle. And I'm not saying they didn't have that at Washington. It disappeared at times and showed up at other times. And let's just chalk that up to a bad loss against a really good team. Boise State has to compete. They have to be physical. They have to do it right. And if they lose the game, maybe they can get away with it. If they win the game, we're back on track and ready to roll, baby.
Got a lot of comments we want to get to. I do want to discuss the interest or lack thereof in terms of the ticket sales here in just a second. I want to thank a couple of our great sponsors, including one of our newest sponsors, Ball Ventures Alquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. Over 10 projects in the Treasure Valley, 3.9 million planned square feet of construction since the company's inception in 2018. BVA has already made an incredible impact on Idaho's commercial real estate market. At BVA, we strive to inspire excellence in everything we do, from leasing and architecture to construction and property management. BVA's dedicated teams are the best in class, provide unparalleled service to help you or your client find the perfect building tailored to their needs. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, and industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the Valley. We are Idaho's developer. And again, we appreciate Tommy Alquist and them for jumping on board as a sponsor of Bronco Nation News. We also thank Taco Bell. Taco Bell Works, the Nicolason family, SON management. They've committed over $300,000 in scholarships for the men's and women's basketball team. And, they are paying for their scholarships for the men's and women's basketball players at Taco Bell. So TacoBellWorks.com, you can find a location near you. We appreciate their support. And again, if you're looking for a quick fast food meal, Taco Bell, highly recommend them, and we thank the Nicolason family and SON management. Our title sponsor is RoePaint.com. Check them out, ROEPaint.com. They did Leon Rice's garage. They can do yours as well. 5 times stronger than epoxy. The one-day install. They'll come out for free, talk you through the process, let you pick one of their, 10 or 15 different color combinations, and you'll be on your way. Don't forget tomorrow, 11 o'clock. 11 a.m. tomorrow, special time. Jay Tust and I will be at Lithia Florida Boise. We'll be broadcasting, hopefully, from literally inside one of their new F-150 Lightnings. Not sure, Mike Prater, if you've ever done a broadcast from inside a vehicle. Maybe you have on a phone or something at some point on the side of the road. But Lithia Florida Boise, we're looking forward to it. And Lithia Florida Boise is giving away 4 tickets to the UCF game, 50-yard line. Those tickets are a little more available than they might have thought when they agreed to do this promotion here. But Lithia, Florida, Boise, you want to sit at the 50-yard line, you want to go to the game against UCF, Lithia, Florida, Boise is giving away 4 tickets. Come on out tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Jay Tust has agreed to waive his autograph and picture fee, and you can meet Jay, get a picture, hang out, chat, talk to Jim Sturk at Lithia, and then Jim will be giving away 4 tickets, Lithia, Florida, Boise, to that UCF game on Saturday. So looking forward to that, and seeing everybody out there at Lithia, Florida, Boise tomorrow. Mike, Boise State yesterday, as I expected, they announced over 33,000 tickets are out. Keyword out, not sold, for the game on Saturday. Looks like it's trending towards a full house. But they had to give away, several tickets to make that happen. I looked on Sunday right after the Washington game, and literally just blocks and blocks. I mean, they were probably, well, they said they've got rid of 6,000 in the last weekend, so there must have been 10,000 seats available after that Washington game. And the cheapest ticket is $75. That's in the end zone. Most of the tickets are $85 or $99 or even $125 to sit down in the lower level. I get it. And I bought 4 tickets myself. I spent $430 or whatever with fees for my wife and kids and her cousin to go to the game. So I get it. It is not cheap. and I can, say that as a paying person that bought tickets to this game. But what do you make of just I would have thought this game would have been sold out 3 weeks ago, to be honest with you. I bought my tickets a month ago thinking it would be sold out. And then they get to a point on a Tuesday morning after Labor Day where they're literally emailing faculty and staff and saying you can have up to 10 free tickets for the game if you want them. So it's going to be a loud crowd. They're going to fill the stadium, but they're having a tough time selling tickets for this game. I don't know if it's the price. I don't know if they overestimated the interest in this one. If it's just the team and 8-5 at home the last 2 years, I don't know what it is, but the new lights, the new scoreboard, a lot of excitement. And at least to this point, it seems like they've had a tougher time than they expected selling tickets.
All the above, BJ, all the above reasons, and probably add a few more. It's very unfortunate they had to get to the point where they were giving away the freebies, whether it was a couple of hundred or a couple of thousands, I don't know, but that's really literally the first time I've seen a free ticket dump around here in a long time and maybe forever. I could forget about it, but I don't think that's the standard. That's certainly not the norm in Boise State. What is the norm is exactly what we're seeing here. And I love you getting after the fans a little bit and raising the issue, because that was me 10, 15, 20 years ago doing the exact same thing. And then I kind of got tired of it because a repeat season. And this is just what Boise State fans do. We've talked about the lack of passion. We've talked about the hardcores, and there is a small amount of hardcores and a small amount of passion, but after that, it doesn't exist. We always complain when we wake up on Monday morning and there's 5,000 tickets left for Saturday's game, and then Saturday's game rolls around and they're 400 short of a sellout, and Jeremiah Dickey announces a sellout, and it looks like a pretty good crowd, a couple of scattered pockets here and there, students 5,000 plus looking great, and then depending on the game, the time, the opponent, the competition, the scoreboard, it's going to be a 2/3 or a third empty in the second half. That's just what Boise State fans do, and that's not Prater taking shots. That's a fact, Jack. That's exactly what they do. They're very consistent that way. They've always been that way. It's been that way since, the early to mid 1990s. We still have that fight and that battle here. It's just a culture of this community. It kind of sucks that we're not really, really passionate about a football team the way other football communities are. But the good news is we have lots of other passions in a very diverse community. So it's a very tough pickle. Jeremiah Dickey's figuring out that 6 games, 6 sellouts isn't always easy, but they're getting closer. But that free ticket giveaway this week was very disturbing to me.
Now, Jordan Morales does say they do a free faculty staff promo every year, but it's usually during a cold later game in the season where they're having trouble selling the tickets. I have heard of that before, and maybe it's like, 2 or 4 tickets, but I know some people that took 10 free tickets for this game. And so, and again, I know everyone always says, oh, here's BJ fan shaming the crowd again. And here he's making a big deal about the crowd. Like I run a business that needs fans. So I'm that's kind of a misnomer out there that I'm always against the fans. I need a packed Albertson Stadium more than anybody. I need interest in this team as high as possible. So I am not trying to fan shame or whatever. Like I said, it was $100 a ticket, man. That was tough. We even had to, after 5 months of thinking about going to the game, I had to take a second thought and say, is this really worth it for my kids to each pay $100 to go to this game? So I totally get it. But I just, it's, if you're Jeremiah Dickey, it's like, what else do you have to do? And I do think they may have overpriced a little bit or overestimated. Now they did come back and say it's the same price as BYU and Oklahoma State the last couple of years, and those have been sellouts. They're going to get close to a sellout by Saturday, as I said. And kudos for giving away the free tickets. If that's what you had to do to fill the place, much better to have a packed house in a game you have to win and just bite the bullet than have the seats be empty anyway if you're not going to be able to sell them. So I give them credit for what they did. Kudos. But I am not trying to get on the fans at all. I'm just pointing out they're having trouble selling the tickets. You would think, in a town of 800,000+ people that you could fill 36,000 seat stadium regardless of the price, 6 times a year. If they're having trouble for this game, I can't imagine what the North Dakota game is going to look like at 10 a.m. next week. It is what it is. The home schedule is not great this year. They were assigned it by the Mountain West, and it just wasn't great other than this UCF game. So I get it. They'd raised the prices a little for this game, hoping to make up for what they assumed to be a lack of ticket sales for the North Dakotas of the world, Wyoming, New Mexico. Games that, Black Friday game against Air Force is going to be a tough one when people are out of town. It is what it is. And it's not just a Boise State problem. I get it. There's empty seats all over the country when you turn on San Diego State games and other places. That's just not something in Boise, Idaho we're used to here. And people are talking about wanting to get in the Big 12, wanting to get in a power conference, wanting to expand the stadium and all this stuff. Well, if you're not, if you're giving away 3,000 free tickets for your biggest home game of the year, it just makes you kind of put a pause on some of that other stuff, I guess. And if I'm Jeremiah Dickey, it's got to be extremely frustrating, Mike. I mean, it's got to be extremely frustrating. They give you a brand new scoreboard, a brand new light show. They're investing as much as they can, and they wake up on the Sunday before the UCF game, and they've got 10,000 tickets still left, and he's kind of going, "Wow, we're in trouble here. This is not good." No. So again, a lot of reasons behind it, but you almost feel bad you do feel bad for Jeremiah and Cody and the whole staff there, because they've really invested a lot this summer in making this game day experience better. And, in terms of the revenue they need, they're going to come up short, I think, with all the free tickets they had to give away.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. And Jeremiah Dickey is a completely different cat than Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. But when Deion Sanders gets up at a press conference and says, "We keep receipts," and he's looking at sports writers, dopey looking D-bags like you and me, BJ, I guarantee you that Jeremiah Dickey and Cody and that staff over there, they're keeping receipts. They're doing it behind the scenes. They're keeping their mouth shut, but they notice this stuff. They're not dumb. And they know when they wake up on Sunday morning and there's 10,000 empty seats to the biggest game of the year, when they've invested more in that stadium than any time in the history outside of maybe the Stickle Sky Center. So it's very, very impressive that they're continuing just to do what they have to do on the public face. And we're going to have Jeremiah Dickey on our show tomorrow, and we're going to talk a lot about this kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about, the fans and where he sits. And he's going to be smooth, but I promise you that there's a lot of frustration there. There's a lot of frustration in that whole program. There's a lot of frustration in this city. One victory on Saturday can take care of all that. If they win, I think the North Dakota game will be fine. Back to your point, if Boise State loses on Saturday, that next Saturday, 10 a.m. against North Dakota, I think we're going to see a crowd that might be a 20-year historic low. I'm talking like maybe low to mid-20s. That will be very interesting to watch.
Hey, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com, the best in mobile e-branch online banking. Make the switch today. Idaho Central Credit Union. If you need some new gear, and by the way, they got some new NIL deals at the Blue and Orange store. Talon Green and Ashton Genty. We'll tell you more about this moving forward, but in a first of its kind NIL deal, they actually went in with New Era and designed their own caps, and they're not even necessarily like personalized caps for them. They're Boise State hats. And they were able to work out kind of some cool ways. They even designed some MLB hats. I believe a Mariners hat. I believe a Texas hat. I think it's Rangers or Astros that Talon worked on. So they designed custom hats. You can now buy them at the Blue and Orange store as part of NIL deals for Talon Green and Ashton Genty. Get more information online at the Blue and Orange store.com. And so as we kind of last 2 minutes or so here, Mike, I as I said the other day, if you look at just straight the numbers and straight feel and straight whatever else, like you would say UCF should probably win this game. But I just have a weird feeling, and maybe it's, say I'm a homer, whatever, but just if the place is packed, if it is rocking, I think Boise State can play a lot better than they played against Washington. Again, I don't think they were one or two plays from winning that game. Obviously, they lost by 37, but I do think some of the drops, some of the slippage, I do think it would have been a more competitive game and may have been a 14, 20-point loss instead of 37. So I think Boise State was a lot closer than the scoreboard indicated to at least hanging around a little longer with Washington. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe that's a home or whatever. But I feel like it's going to be a much different game. I feel like that they're going to run the ball a lot more. I think Talon Green is going to run more. I think Ashton Genty is obviously going to be a much bigger factor in this game. I think Prince Strawn is going to get on the field because there's been a lot of clamoring for him the last few weeks. So I don't know. I just have a weird feeling this is going to be one of those classic on the blue kind of, Rocky Long, Mystique of the Blue type games where the crowd just kind of wills Boise State somehow, some way. I just don't see this team starting 0-2, man. I just have a weird feeling they find a way to win this game. Where are you at?
Yeah, I think Boise State does win this game, and you have all good points there, and I need to see all that. But what I'm looking at the most here is the back half of Boise State's defense. I'm looking at Boise State's entire defense, but specifically the back half, and I want turnovers. And part of my column that I wrote for BNN this week talked about the lack of playmakers. Like 163 combined games between the six primary guys in the secondary at Boise State, and they have 9 interceptions. I need to see way, way, way more of that. John Rice Plumlee for UCF, Central Florida, is a turnover machine. He's really sloppy. This guy's going to win you football games with his legs and his arms, and he's going to lose you football games with his decision and his sloppiness. And Boise State has to take advantage of that. So I want to see physical, relentless play from the defensive line. And we saw parts of that against Washington. I was really kind of encouraged. I want to see DJ Schramm just be a beast. And I want to see some playmakers in the back end of this defense get some turnovers, 2 or 3 turnovers. I want a couple of fumble recoveries. I want some forced fumbles. I want some interceptions. I want some serious playmakers in the back half of that defense. I think the offense will be fine. There's just way too much skill power on that offense, and it's unfortunate they got off to a slow start last week, but the back half of that defense, that's where I'm keeping my eyes Saturday.
And UCF did have a couple turnovers in their game. They committed a couple offensively against Kent State, so you would think there's a chance there. You mentioned Jeremiah Dickey tomorrow, Mike. As we wrap this up, what are the KTIK plans the next couple of days? What we got going on today, tomorrow, and then fill us in on you and Johnny on the post-game show Saturday.
A lot of NFL talk today. We're out doing a live show. You can figure out where later on today. We have all that. And then tomorrow, downtown on the Grove with Tropical Smoothie. It's our 3rd anniversary, BJ. I don't know what kind of anniversary you and I have, but Johnny Ballgame are celebrating our 3rd anniversary tomorrow. We'll be at Tropical Smoothie on the downtown at the Grove. As we said, Jeremiah Dickey is going to come by. Travis Hawks, some of those Ashton Genty and Taylor Green NIL hats. He's given us some of those to give away to listeners. So we're going to celebrate, and we're going to do it Prater and Ballgame style. We're going to give you guys gifts, and we're going to have a lot of fun. You'll be there at 4 o'clock as well. I think you're going to try to pop down and look forward to that, BJ. So come down and hang out with us, and let's get after it. NFL season, college football season, and anniversary season around here.
Yeah, we'll see. That is the plan, but I'm not 100% sure if I can be there in person or not. We got the school bus issue to worry about, but I'll see what I can do. And then Saturday, you and Johnny will have the post-game show, correct? Looking forward to that as well. And then about when you guys get off, we'll go on, and it should be a fun, hopefully a fun evening on Saturday night after the game. So appreciate it. Should be fun. Enjoy the NFL tonight. And Chiefs-Lions. Interesting opener, Chiefs-Lions. We'll see if Travis Kelce plays, but looking forward to it. We'll be listening. Idaho Sports Talk 3 to 6 the next couple of days, and we'll see you in the press box on Saturday. Mike, appreciate your time as always, man.
Thanks, you buddy. Appreciate it.
There he is, Mike Prater. We got player interviews, including Taylor Green, coming up today after practice about noon, so we'll get those up on the BNN YouTube channel. Taylor Green, a lot of different players going to be talking to the media after practice today, so we'll get those up this afternoon on the YouTube channel. And then again, 11 a.m. tomorrow, Jay Tust and I. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News Live, Bronco Nation News.